I wasn't really expecting to find a campsite in the middle of the city, but this grass is making me want to kick my shoes off and hang out barefoot with everybody. So I'm just going to roll with it. Hello, yes, my name is Lindsay, and I head up research and insights at Pale Blue Dot. Pale Blue Dot is an early stage venture capital fund located in Sweden, and we want to protect the world, and we do this by investing in climate tech. So we're pretty much sector agnostic. What we're looking for are the startups that are going to help us fight climate change head on or prepare for a new world. And believe me, we're heading for a new world. I think I have the best job in the whole world because I get to learn something new every day. And it's a dream come true for me because I get to do this in a space that I'm truly passionate about, and that's climate. And I'm sure you all share that passion with me because you're sitting here today. My background is in climate science, and I actually moved to Sweden about 10 years ago to do my doctoral research at Stockholm University, looking at climate and freshwater issues in East Africa. So what I've really been focused on are how do people impact their environment, and in turn, how do changes in the environment impact the way people behave. But enough about me, we're here to talk about carbon and climate investing. If I were to ask you about climate positive investing, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? I'll give you a moment to conjure up those images. I'm guessing for most of you, you're thinking about carbon dioxide, and for good reason. I mean, we're living in a time when atmospheric CO2 is higher than it's been at any point in human history, and it's increasing at a rate that's about 100 times faster than at any point in geologic history. So we need those technologies that are going to reduce emissions and draw down this atmospheric carbon dioxide. I mean, we've pumped so much CO2 into the atmosphere that it's the primary driving force behind global warming. But what if I were to tell you that only looking at carbon is just part of the picture, that there's so much more to the story? So we believe that by only focusing on tons of carbon, you might be missing out on so many other opportunities to have a real impact on our climate and our overall planetary health. There's actually 9 core systems that need to remain in balance in order for us to live well on this planet, in order for us to continue to prosper. And each of those 9 systems has a boundary, and these boundaries represent sort of our safe operating space for living on planet Earth. And those boundaries are known as the planetary boundaries. So each of these boundaries are interconnected, but there's one that's really woven through all 9 of them, well, all 8 of them, and that's climate. So this concept of the planetary boundaries has been a great influence on the way we invest in climate tech at Pale Blue Dot. So I'd like to give a little bit of an example. Let's look at forests. About 1/5 of the global population relies on forests for their daily livelihood. And global deforestation is a driving force in our increasing emissions. However, forests are also one of our most practical solutions for climate change mitigation. They sequester about 2 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year. We're getting better. We're replacing the forests that we cut down. In Sweden, where I live, we're putting up 2 trees for every 1 that we take down. However, most of these trees are being planted in these monoculture tree plantations, which means there's just 1 species of trees that's replacing these native and diverse forests. And this is really wreaking havoc on our global biodiversity. Now, by biodiversity, I don't mean we should be planting 2 types of trees. A forest is a very, thanks. Our forests are very complex ecosystems. They're a variety of plants and animals, microorganisms, fungi, and these all work together to maintain that ecosystem function. So without this biodiversity, these monoculture plantations are actually trapping about 40 times less carbon than the natural forests would have if left in their place. So, while it might seem like low-hanging fruit to plant as many trees as fast as we can, the fastest growing ones we can come up with, we might actually end up doing more harm than good, because when you plant non-native trees, they compete with a native species for resources, disrupting that ecological function, and it might end up releasing more carbon dioxide than you're intending to trap in the first place. So this interconnectedness is why investments in preserving and restoring native biodiversity are critical for maintaining our resilience to climate change. So the actions we take right now and over the next decade are going to influence generations to come. There's no doubt we need to reduce emissions and we need to enhance our carbon removal technologies, but we also need entrepreneurs and investors that look beyond those tons of carbon to support the ideas and the projects that address ocean acidification, improve biodiversity, secure fresh water supplies, and enhance our food security. This is how we truly prepare and adapt for a new future. Now, taking this approach doesn't mean we're less strict about what climate-positive investments mean. In fact, we think it's quite the opposite, and we've really prioritized research that dives deep into the science behind climate innovations. So every time we come across a new climate tech idea or solution, we're constantly asking ourselves questions like, what does the latest science say? What are the other options? Is this really the best path forward? Are there any co-benefits? That's a big one. So we need to look at the bigger picture when it comes to climate innovation, and not just what seems like the fastest and the easiest solution. If we're too short-sighted, and humans have a long history of being short-sighted, we might face unintended consequences, but we might also miss out on a lot of opportunities. I mean, there's plenty of startups out there that might not have an obvious carbon trend that you can account for, that you can tally, but they have really important planetary benefits that will in turn improve our climate resilience. So I know it's a bit cliche, we're all in this together, so let's share our information, let's ask questions about what we don't know, and let's cast a wide net. Let's look beyond these tons of carbon, because there's so much more to the story than that.